Hey everyone, so on the left here is the Garmin Venue 2 Plus, which is Garmin's smartest watch. You can buy 450 bucks though. They very rarely go on sale. I don't think I've ever really seen them go on sale except for maybe Black Friday. On the right here is the 3 Plus Vibe Plus second generation, which is only 50 bucks. And it's only 50 bucks. So you're probably not going to get this on sale either. But $450 versus $50 here. Both of these are smart watches. You can hook both of these up to either an iPhone or an Android device. But we'll come back to that in a moment. But of course, because neither of these are Apple devices, you cannot do everything you could do with an Apple Watch. Both of these do have always on display, which I do have turned on here, but because this is not on my wrist, it will keep turning itself off. One thing I do need to mention here is if you guys notice a flickering on the 3 Plus Vibe Plus 2, and it's because of the camera, not because of the watch itself. Going back to the always on display here, the Garmin does it like normal watches do, like most watches do, where it dims down when you're not looking at it directly, whereas the 3 Plus Vibe Plus 2 here stays vibrant all the time. So again, Garmin, of course, it's not going to stay on for me because it's not my wrist, but it turns darker until you flip your wrist to look at it, then it turns vibrant. This one stays vibrant all the time. What that really means though is this thing kills your battery. If you have this always on display turned on, you'll maybe get a day and a half out of battery. With this, you'll get at least probably 3 or 4 days depending on your usage, of course. Now both these you can turn always on display off and just do the flip your wrist to look at it. You do that, both of these will again, depends on your usage. You could probably get about a week or more out of both these watches. Both these have really good batteries, at least half a week. Again, depends on your use. If you're a crazy user of a watch, maybe half a week. If you don't, if you're just a standard user of a watch, you might be able to get a week out of them. But both of these do have really good battery life, as long as you do not have the always on display on. All right, then let's quickly look at these two. The way they look. So circular design, kind of your standard looking watch with the Garmin, whereas this guy kind of looks like an Apple Watch if you ask me. I think most people wouldn't realize it's not an Apple Watch until they look at it closer. Again, circular, kind of squarish. With the Garmin, you get 3 buttons on the side here. And then, of course, you get your heart rate sensor, SpO2 sensor, all that good sensor-ness. And your charger is on the back. This uses 20mm bands, standard 20mm bands, which you can get more off of Amazon. Just quick thing, though, if you do buy some off of Amazon, they're supposed to work with it. They do work with it, but be careful if you knock some of these bands, these third-party bands, you kind of knock your watch into something, the band might pop off on you. I had that experience with a different band, so just be careful of that. And this one is a third-party band. It looks kind of like the Ocean band from Apple. It's a rip-off of that. And this guy over here, of course, again, have the square look to it. You have one button. Hope you guys can see it. It has the 3 Plus symbol on there. It does rotate, but it doesn't actually do anything when it rotates. It's kind of weird. Again, you have heart rate sensor, SpO2 sensor, all that good stuff. And then you have a charger up here. This uses 22mm standard bands. So again, you can buy them off of Amazon if you wish. I have not bought any extra bands for this watch. This one I have because I have a couple watches that use 20mm. This one I have not yet done. So again, they do look pretty different. I think they both look actually pretty nice. I was actually surprised at how decent this watch looks for 50 bucks and how it feels in the hand. It does feel cheap, but it doesn't feel $50 cheap. Okay, both of these, of course, can do a whole bunch of different sport profiles, but the details on the Garmin are going to be better. I'm not going to get too in-depth on this. I mean, there are a whole bunch of different videos on YouTube if you want to see more in depth. But you can see, you can get a crazy amount of different workouts on here. And then this guy, the 3 Plus Vibe Plus, you hit the button here. You hit this yellow icon, the runner man, and then again, you get a whole bunch of different workouts. Both of these do have built-in GPS. Again, I'm not going to go into which one is better. I'm just a very casual user, so as long as they both stay consistent, that's all that I personally care. Again, if you want to get more in depth, there are other videos for that on YouTube. But just know both of these do have built-in GPS, and actually they both find it pretty quick. haven't had any issue with that at all. But again, just note though that the Garmin is a bit more in detail. It's probably out of all the watches out there, for the most part, it's probably the most detailed watch as far as actual smaller details go. And you just get a lot more information on it. And they're doing things like going into, let's say, an elliptical, going on an elliptical, going on an indoor bike, stuff like that. Once you're done with the workout in the app itself, you can go into the details and you can edit how far you actually went. Where other watches like this one, you just can't do that. You get calories burned, you get the you get the calories burned, you get the time spent, stuff like that, but not how far you actually went. So this gives you more details. For things like strength training, the Garmin, you can put in how many reps you did and how much the weight was. Then when you're done with the workout, you can actually see a muscle map on the app itself, and then you can go in and edit each individual exercise you did. You can change each one into what you actually did, and then change that muscle map. It's really, really cool. It's very detailed. Again, so this is where a big difference is going to be, is just Garmin is way more in-depth on their details of exercises. And that is true if you compare it to Apple Watch, compared to the Samsung Watch. It is just very, very detailed for exercising. Now let's talk about the smartwatch features. So both of these, if you have it hooked up to an iPhone, you can receive messages, you can receive text messages, emails, notifications, but you cannot reply to anything, which is a caveat to the Garmin, which I'll come back to in a moment here. But you cannot reply to them. If you're on Android, you get a text message, you can do quick replies. And then on the emails, you can see a little bit of the email. You can delete the email. Yeah. So if you're on Android, you can do more stuff with text messaging and emails. Whereas if you're on iOS, because Apple is Apple, they restrict what you can do on non-Apple watches. You cannot send replies. Again, there is a caveat though with the Garmin. So with the Garmin, mine is saying it's not hooked up to my phone. I don't know why. It's like 5 feet away from me. But if you click in this middle button here, it will bring up your assistant, which mine is saying is not connected for some reason at the moment. But so it'll bring up Siri. So if you're on iPhone, it'll bring up your Siri assistant. And then from there, you can say, send message to mom. Then it'll say, what do you want to send? What message do you want to send? Please pick up bread, something like that. And then it'll say, do you want to send it? And then you send it. So in that way, you can actually send replies through your voice. It just isn't as easy as an Apple Watch or say a Samsung Watch. You can do the same thing if you're hooked up to Android. You can send voice replies that way. Send text messages through your voice. Hopefully that makes some sense. But again, if you're on Android, you can also do quick replies on both of these through text messages. You just have a few predetermined, pre-outlined messages that you can send off. There is no actual texting like you can do on an Apple Watch or on a Samsung Watch. Again, hopefully that makes some sense. So you have quick replies on Android, and then you have voice replies through your assistant on either Android or iOS. This does not do voice replies at all. You can only see your messages. You cannot send it in any way, shape, or form on iOS, but you can on Android. Again, hopefully that makes some sense. And I guess with that too, I should have mentioned, if I didn't already mention, this does have a microphone, and then also has a bunch of noises it makes as well. So it also has a speaker. You can play music through this if you want to. You can store music through this onto this. You cannot do that on here at all. You can, when you have it hooked up to your phone, you can skip tracks. You can increase your volume. You can do stuff like that. But it does not have built-in music storage. This does have built-in music storage, and again, you can play the music from the watch itself. Again, it's a watch, so it's not very loud. But if you, for some reason, don't have your phone near you, want to listen to some music, you can do it. With this microphone, like I said, you can do the voice replies, and then you can also actually answer your phone calls as long as your phone is near you, which is cool. But I think if your phone is in your pocket, you'll probably just answer it through your phone, because it does not have LTE or any sort of coverage like that. It's just Wi-Fi only. So you have to have your phone near you in order to do send the messages, and to receive phone calls. All right, then some other things that you get with the Garmin. So if we tap and hold this top button here, it brings up your menu here. You also have a wallet. You have Garmin Pay, which you can, you put your credit cards, debit cards into, and you can pay with it. Yeah, you do not get on the Vibe Plus. Like I said, you can send and receive phone calls through it. You can send out voice replies to text or to send out text messages through your voice if you want to do that, as long as your phone is near you. This also has emergency here. So if you are out running and you eat it hard and you cannot get to your phone for whatever reason, you can send out a message to a emergency contact, or it will also detect if you fall and eat it hard and maybe you knocked yourself out. It might send out a message as well. Again, you have to have your phone near you in order to do that because there's no built-in LTE, but it is rather cool. And like I mentioned, you also get built-in music storage on here, which you can play through your speaker, which you cannot do on this at all. You only have where you can control your phone's music, but it doesn't have built-in music storage. This you can also control your phone music through as well. On the Garmin, you can also put in where your location is by hitting the button there. So it has a little bit of navigation in it, nothing like the Phoenix series has, but you can put in a location and you can do track back to it. That way you can find your way back to wherever you started if you need to do that, or you want to do that we do not get lost. Or maybe you want to put in the location of your car or something. If you're out somewhere you don't know, you can do that, put in your location, and you can find your way back to your car. The Venue 2 Plus, now the Garmin, now also has ECG on it. I have yet to use it. I do want to try it out, but you now have ECG just like you can get on I believe the Samsung watches have that, and then also the newest Apple watches have that as well, which is pretty cool. That just got passed like a couple weeks ago for this watch. And as of right now, this is the only Garmin watch that has that feature. Pretty cool. This does not have ECG whatsoever. So you do get quite a bit more stuff with the Garmin. Again, I think the biggest thing is going to be just the details you get with the Garmin. You get way more details with the Garmin than you do the 3 Plus. Then besides from that, if you guys use the apps, the Garmin app is way better than the 3 Plus app. This is a pretty basic app, whereas this has, again, a lot of details. You can do a whole bunch of stuff on them. One thing I did not mention is you can change out the watch faces. Tap and hold them. See, actually, I think with the Garmin, you should go into a menu. You can't just tap and hold. It's kind of weird. But yeah, you can change out the watch faces. There's a bunch of different ones. I would say there are more with the Garmin than there are with the 3 Plus. See if we can get to the right thing here. So again, tap and hold down your bottom button. Then it can store a whole bunch of different watch faces, and you get a whole bunch more through the app with both of these. So I'm sure I'm missing some stuff here. Again, you can find a lot more in depth on this on the Garmin. Check out DesFit or check out TC Rainmaker. Both of them have done very much in depth videos on these. Very, very good videos. But I think for the average person, both of these would be fine. Do you want a lot more details and you want a little bit of a nicer watch? Yes, I go with the Garmin. If you just want a basic smartwatch, then this is actually not bad. Again, you can switch out these bands. There's a whole bunch of them on Amazon. It's a nice looking watch. The watch face is nice and vibrant. This is only on, I think it's only on like level 2. Yeah, it's only on level 2 of the brightness. So neither of these you should have any issues with seeing in the dark, or seeing in the dark or seeing out in the bright sunshine for a run or something like that. Again, both have built-in GPS. I think it really comes down to, do you want a lot more details in your workouts and be able to do a lot more stuff with your watch and want to spend $450? Or do you want a pretty basic watch that gives you all the basics of a smartwatch for only $50, and it actually works pretty well? And again, battery life is really good. Y'all let me know what you think, especially if you made it this far into the video. Hopefully this all makes some sense. Hopefully this will help somebody. I don't know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.